If you have ever wanted to stock up on ground beef, but you're not exactly sure how to do it, that's what this video is about. I'm here to show you how you can do it simply, easily, with things you already have right now in your kitchen. I'm Kristen here at Joyfully Thriving, and I'm just a regular housekeeper, a homemaker just like you, except that I am a very frugal shopper. Hopefully you are too. I love to stock up on good deals and build a stockpile that our family uses in both our pantry and my freezer and my fridge. So one of the ways I do that is especially by looking for sales on things such as meat. And when I do find a really good deal on meat, I make sure to buy more than what I'm just going to use that week. I try to stock up for anywhere from 3 to 6 months or longer, as much as my budget allows. And before you start thinking, okay, she probably is sending a huge amount aside, we're a family of 6 and I use a monthly $475 budget. If you're curious how that works, be sure to check out my grocery hauls, which I share every week. But doing this, stocking up on meat, putting it in my freezer, prepping it and putting it in my freezer is one of the best ways that I save our family money. So for those of you who are curious exactly how I do it, that's what this video is to show you today. There's lots of different ways to do it. This is just what I found that works for me. I do have a freezer that is over my fridge, and then I have an extra upright freezer where I store all this meat. So again, there are different ways, and I'd love to know how you store meat too. Be sure to let me know in the comments. But I'm just going to show you the ways that work for me. These are the 3 most common ways that I do store and prep and freeze our ground beef. I don't buy ground beef and just stick it in my freezer. On the very rare occasion, if time is hugely of an essence, I will do it. But I have found that it's worth taking a little bit of time initially to go ahead and prep it for the freezer so I can easily pull out what I need. So let me show you how I do it, and hopefully this will give you some good ideas of what you can do as well. Now, like I said, all of these things I do just using everyday ingredients. I use foil, I use wax paper, I use Ziploc bags. I do not have a food saver. I've thought about doing that, and I know some of you have said that's how you do it, and I think that's great, and yes, I may still end up doing that at some point, but for now, this is what I've been doing the last couple years, and it seems to work for me. So let's start with the easiest way. If you buy ground beef, the easiest thing to do if you just want to make sure you have it in the freezer is to put it in about a 1 size portion bag. And these are just regular size sandwich bags here. I do flatten it, as you can see. Like I just put it in here, and I try to do about a pound. I don't use a scale. I look at my package, and if it's a 4-pound package, I always try to get a little over. So like 4.5, I'll just kind of eyeball it and just divide it up, and I put it in a bag, smush it flat. I try to seal all the air out of it, and then I close it tightly, and then I use these 2-gallon bags. I'll leave a link to something like this. So as you can see, it's a really big bag, and here I have 2, 4, 6, 7 pounds in here. I have some already in my freezer, so this time when I bought meat, I didn't do a whole lot raw, but I do keep some like that. And this can hold easily, when I stack it like this, about a dozen or more when I get them in here. So that's the first and easiest way. If you're looking to have ground beef, it's in a 1-pound package. I've just found that's the size that works for most of the recipes we're doing, or if I'm doubling a recipe, I can easily pull it out. Sometimes I like things that are made, especially in a casserole I found, with a fresh ground beef as soon as it's ready. So that's why I do some of our ground beef like that. The next thing I do is that I really like to go ahead and brown a bunch of it and divide it up into 1-pound portions. So I just put it in a huge pot. Again, I'm on the stove, simple, just fry it, and then I put it on a big cookie sheet like this, lined with paper towels underneath it. I pour off the grease first, of course, and then this just lets the rest of the grease soak off for me, and I let it cool completely on here, and then I divide it again into sandwich bags. Just these again are the sandwich size bags. I just really eyeball it. I know when you're doing it, that fat cooks off. So you are technically, when it says 4.5 pounds, so see, I just put it in, I push the air out, and then I smush it as flat as I can, just like I did with the raw beef, and I put it in the bag here, in the big 2-gallon bag. And I just store it in there and stack them up. So they stack really easily, they thaw fast. I just try to do everything flat. But a Okay, so back to this about the ground beef. I know when you're cooking it and you say you're getting 4.5 pounds raw, when you're cooking it, you're losing some of that weight due to the fat that you're cooking off. I personally always try to buy 80% or higher, 80, 85, but 80 is really what I usually typically buy, and that's where I find the best sales. If you buy 73 or lower, you will find you are losing more that gets cooked off, which that's okay. I mean, sometimes those are the best deals and that's what you can find. Just be aware of that. You know, you will cook off more fat and grease with a lower percentage if you weren't aware of that. So are each of these bags perfectly a pound? Probably not, but you know, that's another way to stretch your money too, is actually by using a little less ground beef in each recipe. That just carries a little bit farther, and especially if you're using meat as not your only ingredient, and that's not the focus of your meal in a ground beef, then, and you're using it in a casserole or something, it does stretch further. Sometimes I also do keep almost like an individual serving here, just one little, an ounce or two in these small sandwich bags, and then I just put them in a quart bag, so this is a couple of them. My husband likes ground beef on his nachos, or if I have leftover taco meat, that's what I like to do actually. I'll do a little tiny bag, put them in here, and then if I ever want like a taco salad, I have that ready to go. So that's what I do with the ground beef there. So those ways are super simple. You have your raw ground beef in your 1 pound bags. You have your cooked ground beef in your 1 pound bags. And then what I like to do is prep some of it for hamburgers. Okay, this final one is a little more time consuming, but for me, it's totally worth the prep. My husband loves hamburgers and we grill pretty much year round. We probably have hamburgers almost once a week. It's just an easy meal. But early on when we were married, I found I wasn't doing them a lot because I hated getting out the meat, thawing it, making the patties, and then putting them on the grill. So if I found that if I prep them right away and freeze them already in patties, then it's super easy. I can easily thaw, stack, they go straight on the grill, and then hamburgers are a really easy meal for me to make, and everyone loves them in our family. So I just take a big container of ground beef. This is what I do. You can season it however you want. I should have mentioned that with the cooked ground beef too. Some people like to add onions in their ground beef as they're doing it. Some people already season it with taco seasoning. You can do any of those things. For my personal preference lately, I have little kids who don't love onions right now, so I add it as I'm cooking, and I just do it raw and unseasoned, because then I can easily turn the cooked ground beef into taco meat or sloppy joes or whatever recipe I'm doing. When I need a really quick meal, I have a pound already cooked. I can season it however I want. So add that note on there too. Okay, so let's go back to the hamburgers. I just take a large portion, anywhere from the 3 to 4. I generally buy that family size pack of ground beef. And then I like to add 1 packet of the dried onion soup mix. This is what we've decided we like. I just stir that in and mix it up with my hands. And then I make a little ball, so it's about, I don't know, I figure they're probably about 1/4 to 1/3 a pound each. So I do a little ball there of the ground beef, and then I smush them into a patty. This is just a little plate, and I kind of use that ring there to make a patty. And then I line them with wax paper. So I take a sheet of wax paper, and then I just tear it in two, and one of these goes between each layer. So if I can lift this up and show you here, I then, oil's gonna be noisy. So I do them, if you can see this right here, it's a stack of 7. I'll lift it up just so you can see here, hopefully, without it falling. Can you see that? So it's just the hamburgers stacked with a piece of wax paper in between. I found that when I thaw them, this just makes sure they don't ever stick together. So then what I do is I wrap it up, and I'll show you what I do. This is the noisy part here. So I just fold here, and wrap it down, and then I just kind of tuck those edges in as tight as I can make it here, and fold them up or crimp them here. But here's the important part. Then make sure you grab a Sharpie, and what I like to do is always write how many burgers are in that stack. So like this one has 7. Sometimes I write it on both sides just so I remember with the Sharpie. Our family is 6, but our kids are 9, 7, 5, 3. So my girls, in between 5 and 3, they split a burger. My boys will probably eat a burger on their own. So 7 works for us. We might have a leftover or not, or that's just what our family needs. So then I have my burgers here, and once again, I get those 2-gallon bags. This really is a great size for me. It keeps them from when I put them in our big freezer, it keeps them from all falling apart. And again, I can generally get 4 to 6 in 4 to 6 stacks, so 4 to 6 meals in one of these bags, and they're just all in there. And then I just know when I want hamburgers, I grab a stack, put them in the fridge, let it thaw the night before, and then we're ready to make hamburgers whenever I make it. So that's how I do the ground beef into hamburgers. So I hope that's helpful. That is really how I freeze ground beef. It's not complicated. It does take a little bit of time, but like I found, it saves me so much time prepping a meal for our family when I know the meat is already divided into individual bags. So this is my go-to. Hamburgers, I do that. The cooked 1-pound bags, and then the raw right there, I do that as well. Sometimes if I'm ambitious and have extra time, I will do meatballs, and I will go ahead and cook them. I do cook my meatballs first generally, and then I freeze them in bags of about 30 is what I do for our family. And so sometimes that's what I do. But this weekend I just bought 70 pounds of ground beef because it was on sale for $2.49, and all of it now in the span of about 4 to 5 hours, broken up on 2 days, is all prepped for the freezer. All 70 plus pounds, which is gonna save me so much time in the months to come for our family. And it's all prepped this time as raw, as cooked, and as the hamburger patties. If you do wanna check out how my freezer looks, I will leave a link to that, my freezer tour that I did just recently, a little bit ago, so you can see how it looked before this recent hamburger stock up. But I hope this was helpful. If you have questions, be sure to ask in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer them and help you out however I can. And yes, I'd love to know what you do with your meats as you are prepping them and stocking them in your freezer. If you like this type of content and want to learn more about saving your family money on groceries and how to shop frugally, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm around every week with a frugal grocery haul and all sorts of other frugal shopping tips and stockpiling tips and things like that. All right, thanks for watching today. And like I said, if you do have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments and I will answer them as best as I can. Thanks for watching.